cannot determine the cause of the demonic invasion until the Resop satellite is brought back online.
Hey, have you seen Chef?
Dr. Samuel Hayden was introduced in Doom 2016 as one of the main antagonists, and is now one of the most beloved characters in the entire franchise. After he gave his iconic cliffhanger speech the last time we saw him, players naturally wanted to see him again. So when Doom Eternal was announced and it was stated to put more emphasis on its story and universe, everyone got a little more excited about Sammy Boy again. So how is he doing right now? What the fuck? I think most people can agree that Doom Eternal's story is kinda bad, but also batshit insane, and this is clearly intentional. From the beginning, you're going to Earth that's experienced 6 Armageddons simultaneously, then you go to some Viking planet, then you go to Sweden to fight your apparent equal that's in a wheelchair. It's obvious from the get-go that the story is treated like a Saturday morning cartoon where everything you do and everywhere you go is a massive spectacle, and the story is just a contrivance to keep bringing you to bigger and grander locations, and that should be expected. It's Doom! The story should never take anything away from the amazing experience Doom offers. However, that doesn't mean they can give us a half-baked story, that at the end, the writing quality is similar to a Transformers movie. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I love Transformers, but I just needed a good comparison. Eternal's story has a lot of things going on, only to give the player new areas to go to, and to give lore for nerds to digest. But with how many things the story has to tackle, things become cluttered and underdeveloped, leaving a lot of amazing concepts flat. And sadly, since the story is trying to juggle so many balls, one of them is going to fall hard, and that one was Samuel Hayden's character. Before I get to Doom Eternal's story, I should talk about Doom 2016's first, and how Samuel played a big role there. While you're here, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 1k subs before April, which is my YouTube channel's 1-year anniversary, so every like and subscribe is always very appreciated. Besides that, on to the video. Doom 2016 had a decent narrative, and when most people think back to Doom 2016, I'd guess that the first thing that will come to their mind is the Slayers and Samuel's iconic dynamic with each other, aka Boss Man want me to listen to him. Me can't. Me deaf. So that technically makes Samuel a core pillar of the story, and Hayden alone is a pretty great character. On the surface, he's a villain that wants to make money, but when you take a deeper look, he does have more to him. You get a distinct idea of how evil this guy is. Like, it's one thing to put profit first, but it's another thing when you're fine with your employees turning into this. But he's fine with that, it's all in the name for progress. Now, this is a good and fascinating-ish character trait, but what made him special and gave him a lot of more depth is Doom Guy. Samuel does not give a single shit in life except Argent energy and probably avoiding taxes. He will do anything to keep his company going, so when hell invades, that's why he woke you up, so you clean up his mess, just so everything can go back to normal. And Samuel fully expected you to listen to him, but Doom Guy can't be controlled and only wants to eradicate hell and everything that supports it. And this fully reveals who Samuel Hayden is. He had no intention of stopping the production. He had no problem with people losing their lives. He had no problem with people turning into demons. He had no problem with hell invading Mars. But he has a problem with you stopping everything. And this somewhat creates a conflict because both have conflicting viewpoints. But that doesn't matter, Doom Guy does what he wants and destroys Samuel's life. After you destroy the Argent accumulator, the thing that kept the engines running, Samuel is a little pissy with what you just torn down, and now is essentially forced to help you stop the invasion, because that's the only goal that remains. The other one he had is fucking annihilated. But that doesn't mean you guys are friends. He's still there, mad at what you've done, wishing that these events would have never happened. So after you retrieve the Crucible, a weapon able to produce Argent energy, Hayden lets you finish your mission, but as soon as you do, he steals the Crucible from you, nearly fucking instantly. This fucker has seen literal hell and fire go through every being on the planet, but still somehow has his fucking priorities straight. not gonna lie, I kinda respect that. Samuel Hayden is a simple character executed very well. From falling off his high horse and having his personal goals destroyed to being forced to do the right thing to undoing that at the very end. It's not much, but it doesn't need to be. He's still a great antagonist that stands out from all the generic, forgettable bad guys these days. That obviously doesn't mean he was perfect. He started to jump a lot of exposition halfway through the game, and he was kind of a one-note character. A very good one, but it left a lot of room for development. And the last one is not that big of an issue in my opinion, because personally for me, the way I see it is that Samuel in Doom 2016 is a start, a foundation for an incredible villain that can be fleshed out and developed more as his story progressed, depending on what direction he was going to be taken into. Doom 2016 set up the perfect motivation for why Samuel would be at odds with the Slayer. So when Doom Eternal was announced, people were really excited to see him again. And why wouldn't they? Having the story left out with such high tensions between the Slayer and Samuel, higher than ever, it was unpredictable what was going to happen in Doom Eternal. And I think no one was able to predict what happened. Hayden gets introduced in Doom Eternal's story after the Slayer destroys the Super Gore Nest, where Vega suggests getting help from Samuel to locate the final Hell Priest. Yeah, real smart to get help from the guy that fucking betrayed you last time. You fucking idiot. Before you reunite with him, we have to go for the more complex mission, and massive events have already taken place that resulted in his body being mangled. But if we looked around and picked up all the codex entries throughout the level, we learn what happened to him after Doom 2016. After the incident on Mars, Earth is in shambles due to the lack of Argent energy, or any energy sufficient enough to keep everything running. Luckily, Samuel shows up just in time with the Crucible, which means Argent energy can be produced again. But before he even arrived, the demons were already on Earth, and with the demons wreaking havoc, Hayden decides to fight back. Now that the power of Argent was in the palm of his hands again, and hellfire raining down on the globe, Samuel launched the Armored Response Coalition, aka the ARC, and designed Argent-based weaponry, all to fight off the internally damned. Unfortunately, even when Samuel tried everything he could, this was only delaying humanity's inevitable downfall, but this still made Hayden become a hero in the eyes of the few survivors. Then came Operation Hellbreaker, which was the ARC's last attack on the Super Gore Nest. Everything they had was there, but even then, everything went wrong, and they failed, which led to Samuel getting sliced and taken back to the ARC complex. And that's where we meet him. Okay, so, did they skip over his redemption arc? Am I reading that right, or no? Like he's helping humanity, but he didn't give two shits about human life last time, and now he's literally the savior in the eyes of the world? Yeah, but he's still a scumbag. Sure, he's fighting off the demons now, but he's also the reason why they're there. This is here only to give context of what has taken place after Doom 2016. But since this is only a summary of what happened, we don't really learn anything about Samuel Hayden personally. He might have done a lot for humanity while fighting off hell, but that doesn't say a lot about him. Because we have a not so good history with Hayden, this really should have been in the main campaign. Yes, that would require massive rewrites, but the whole story needed to be rewritten. Because one of the biggest issues with Doom Eternal's writing is show, don't tell. Again, this is just to fill the gap of what happened after the incident on Mars. But we might have missed so much out on Samuel Hayden's character development. You're just telling me that he's a good person now without showing me that he is. You do that stuff in the actual game, not through a fucking Google Doc. Anyway, now that Slayer took Samuel back to his fortress, what's going to happen? They didn't exactly have a nice honeymoon on Mars. Will Doomguy be furious that he betrayed him, and what he's caused? Will Samuel help the Slayer, or will he be up to his shenanigans again? What happens is nothing much. Samuel uploads himself to the fortress, we get the best line in the game, and go to Mars. Huh. There's really nothing significant that happens between the two. They just keep the plot going. Samuel doesn't mention anything from past events. He just gives us the coordinates to the last Hell Priest. And the Slayer isn't reluctant at all, isn't a little unsure or cautious, or even more pissed than usual. They just do what they gotta do. So, yeah. Oh, actually, Vega gives us a hint to a twist. Oh boy. As we continue, we go to Narnia, then Hell, Heaven, punch an old lady 6 times, go back to Earth, and kill the icon of sin. And with a wacky and crazy journey like that, Samuel Hayden does something unexpected. He reads off the entirety of the Doom Wiki. Okay, what the fuck? He only reads off Exposition. Bruh. Not to say he didn't do that in Doom 2016, that was an issue there as well, and it sometimes was fucking atrocious. But we still got a lot of development and a look into his character, sometimes while he was giving the exposition. Like when you destroy the Argent accumulator, he tells us why it needs to be reduced, while also showing how furious he is, and begging the Slayer to stop. It wasn't always like that, but still! In Doom Eternal, we don't get locked into a room for 2 minutes, but
the great city of Taras Nabad, site of the first recorded demon attack in Argentinor, according to the Codex tablets.
Shut the fuck up. I think there's around 3 or 6 lines where he gives commentary on what you're doing, like you shouldn't blow up that planet, or you need to be a little faster, but it's overshadowed by facts about the fucking Aztecs. It's like I'm listening to a fucking Lord of the Rings fan. Like, can't we just get one line where Samuel does something more than just explain stuff? Just something like this, I guess, where he just gives his take.
You don't like capitalism, yet you exist. I'm from Venezuela, but in tax 100 billion dead.
If you want an idea how these dumps really overshadow everything he said, remember how this guy couldn't get enough of Argent energy the last time? Well, he apparently hates it now!
This machine was not made without Hell's knowledge. The deal struck with the Dark Lord. In return for access to more worlds for Hell to devour, the Makers siphoned energy from the dead. He doesn't know cannot stand it longer.
So you guys did skip his redemption arc. What? He just said that Argent is heresy, and most people probably didn't even notice the implications of that line. So in some way, he has learned from his mistakes. I think I will have a summary to work with, and this one line, I don't know. I don't think he even knows. Doom Eternal has some really bad writing, and it's such a shame to see Samuel being a victim of this. We have to listen to him give of the most fucking boring lecture to just set up a world I do not give a shit about. And they only explain it because they just felt the need to explain everything. And because of this, Samuel gets into the crossfire. I'm pretty sure everyone's noticed I'm just repeating and beating a fucking dead horse by now, but can you blame me? This isn't our character. I'm sorry, it isn't. And this is no more apparent after you play The Ancient Gods Part 1. Doom Eternal left a lot of weird questions about Samuel Hayden. Since his only character trait was talking, how does he know so much about the universe? Why did the intern say his robot body is alien? Why was he able to link up with the Fortress of Doom so flawlessly? And the Seraphim, the one who gave the Slayer his godlike status, for some reason sounds like Samuel, is being played by the same actor that plays Samuel, is quoting Samuel, and also has the same face as Samuel? How curious. Anyway, The Ancient Gods Part 1. Samuel Hayden is a fucking angel. Okay, let me get the fucking story out of the way so I can get to the point where this is fucking stupid. Samuel kind of jerks himself off at the very beginning of USA Atlantica by talking about how high and mighty the Seraphim is, aka himself. Which is actually kind of funny when you know the context, plus we haven't seen how narcissistic he is, so we got another character trait, boys, let's fucking go! After it's revealed that he's the Seraphim, we get a line that kinda hints to why he expects the Slayer to take his orders, because he's the one that gave him his power. After that, he starts to have a meltdown and says you need to return the Father, who's God and also Vega. The guy that helped you in Doom 2016, and Eternal. Kinda weird, but anyway, he needs a father to save his life, but Samuel disguised it as saving humanity, just so the Slayer would actually do it. But in his ignorance, he forgets it's the fucking Doom guy, and it literally blew up in his face. After that, we don't see him until the end of the Ancient Gods Part 1 campaign, where you fight him, win, and he disappears. That's where his story ends for now. As I stated from the beginning of the video, a lot of the new ideas Doom Eternal introduced were not properly developed enough, and Samuel being the Seraphim is just one of them. Now this idea isn't the worst, but it needs to be fully realized and thought out. But it wasn't. This twist became Samuel's entire identity in this game,
And what I mean by that is that nearly every piece of dialogue and scene with Samuel is an indicator that he's of a higher power or just someone else. It's actually kinda rare that we got anything besides that. The abundant amount of exposition he gave was a hint that he's the seraphim, which means over 3/4 of his dialogue is a fucking clue. All the breadcrumbs they dropped for us drowned everything else out, so the final result is every interaction I have with Samuel is a wink wink, nudge nudge, and really nothing else. What really puts salt on the wound is that when you know he's the seraphim, aka the only captivating aspect to his character, the mystery, is gone, leaving us with just nothing interesting besides exposition. To make matters even worse, when it's finally revealed that he is the seraphim, they don't do anything new with him besides a boss fight and the twist itself. They don't play with the fact that he was an angel running a satanic company, or the fact he's a fucking angel. They just literally do a repeat of Doom 2016, where he gives an order and you don't listen, but this time it only just ends with you kicking his ass. They didn't do anything really that interesting with this, besides making the lore more deep, I guess. But besides that, why even do this in the first place? If you're not gonna properly develop it, I mean, when you go back to the last game, why was Samuel okay with letting you kill Vega, even though he's fucking God, and he needs him to fix heaven? Or the fact there's literally no indication in Doom 2016 that he's the Seraphim? At least do something fucking cool with the character. Yeah, we got a boss fight, but that's just one thing. And you're just gonna stop there? Really? They clearly came up with this idea when writing Eternal, which isn't an issue. The issue is just how awkwardly it's handled. They clearly wanted this to be a spectacle, but it really ended up being really fucking lackluster. And I honestly think that ruins Samuel Hayden. From a great stepping stone for a memorable villain, to an angel that looks like an oyster that's only purpose was really just to add more to the lore. I don't have a single clue what they're going to do with this character, and I do not even have a basic idea. All I can say is, don't fuck it up, please! So yeah, I promised I was going to upload more videos. Oops. Really fucking sorry about that. I was just way too focused on this fucking script. I had to do 100 rewrites because I was just really unhappy with the script, but I think it's fine now. But I'm going to go through with my promise though. I'm going to start uploading more, and I just have to. It's just unnecessary for me to take this much time with one topic, and I'm kind of forced to do so because there's a cool movie coming out soon. Kind of want to make a few videos on that. Anyway, before I go, I want to give a massive shout out and thank you to Butchamus for agreeing to say this.
Ass and titties, ass and titties, ass and titties, ass and titties.
Go subscribe to his channel, link is in the description. Poor idiot actually agreed to say this. Besides that, again, I'm going to attempt to upload more. We'll see how that goes. Anyway,